Turns out you may be missing putts on the golf course, not necessarily because you're a bad putter or because you aim poorly, but because you're aiming in different terms than someone you're playing with, that someone could be caddying for you, and that might be causing you to miss putts just by fractions of an inch. I'm Ryan Ballingy. Thanks for checking out my channel. Appreciate it. So I'm doing this video because I saw a graphic from a great teacher in the game, Brian Mansella, and he shared this graphic on social media. I think it was on X. And the graphic is his attempt to show what different terms mean in terms of aiming putts. What does it mean to aim down the, right down into the middle of the cup? Everybody knows what that means. After that, it starts to get a little bit fuzzy, right? If you're going to aim on the left edge or the right edge of the cup, what does that mean? In his graphic, right edge means you're going to put the ball on the, if you're aiming on the right edge, you're going to put the middle of the ball is going to run exactly 0.84 inches, because the ball's 1.68 inches in diameter. You're going to have it 0.84 inches to the right edge of the cup, right? The middle of the ball is going to go right over exactly one ball across. And then if you have a split the difference, you're going to say that in his terms, that half the ball is going to go over the edge. But I think about those terms differently, right? So if I'm going to say I'm going to put it on the edge, I'm meaning what he means by splitting the difference, by splitting the edge. My version of thinking about putting the ball by putting it on the edge is to roll the dead middle of the ball over the edge of the cup, and then it falls in either side, right? So we're already talking on different terms to begin with. But then you look at the graphic a little bit more and start to realize there are a lot of really small differences in the way people think about how they putt. Take, for example, putting one ball out, right? If you have a caddy or you're talking to your partner in a match, you say, hey, put the ball one ball out on the right. Well, what does one ball out on the right mean to you? Because to me, that means I'm going to aim the ball about 1.5 to 2 inches out, 1.68 inches out, and I'm going to run the middle of the ball over that point. That's what I mean by one ball out. But you could mean totally different things, and they would be totally fine. You could mean literally 1.68 inches out. I want the diameter of the ball to roll exactly at that point, kind of over a footprint, so to speak, for the ball, where the middle of the ball goes over that 0.82 inches out, and that's the one ball out. And then two balls out is 1.68 inches plus another 0.82 inches, and then that's what that looks like. Or for me, it's instead of 1.68 plus 0.82, we're talking 1.68 times 2, right? I want the edge of the ball to be that end point, right? And then he has the graphic makes it even more confusing, because he says, well, when we're talking about aiming one cup out, he thinks about it as aiming one cup out from the center of the original cup where you're trying to putt. So that, 4.25 inches, that's going to be from middle of the cup to the middle of the hypothetical one cup out. Well, I don't think about it that way either, and that's confusing within his own graphic, right? Because if you're saying you want one ball out to mean the whole ball exactly over, but then you're saying one cup out is from middle to middle, well, that's not consistent. That's a different way of thinking about it, in my opinion. When I think of one cup out, I think of one cup out the same way I think of as one ball out. The edge, I want the middle of the ball to go over that 1.68 inches out. In the case of one cup out, I want the edge, the middle of the ball, to go over the edge of that cup at 4.25 inches out. And that's the way I want it to go into the hole. But again, your interpretation of those words and phrases can be totally different than mine. So if I'm telling you on the same team, I want you to aim two balls out on the right, but we don't agree what that term means, then you might miss the putt and go, well, Ryan's a terrible putt reader. He completely missed. But maybe I was right, and if you had executed what I thought you should have executed, it goes in the hole instead of just grazing the cup. That's the kind of thing that can happen when we're not speaking on the same term. So I'm doing all of this video to say that the graphic that Brian presented is a really interesting jumping off point of how you think about, how you talk about putts, especially in team matches, especially with a caddy. And you got to have that communication up front. If you haven't worked with someone before, if you haven't played with someone before, make sure you know what they mean when you're trying to read putts and when you're trying to give them advice. And that not only goes for those terms, edge, center, right center, left center, one ball out, two balls out, one cup out, all that stuff. There's a lot of commonality there, but there's a lot of difference. But also in terms of the pace at which you're going to hit putts. So what often happens is someone will give you a read for how they hit a putt, right? They're going to give you a read based on the speed and intensity they want to hit the putt. So if they want to hit it hard, that's a little bit different read than you're someone who kind of wants to dive the ball in the hole versus someone who maybe wants to hit the back of the cup pretty hard. And that changes the read. But we also don't often ask those questions. So what I usually like to do in that situation when I'm playing with a partner and we don't know each other, if they ask for my help, I'm telling them how far I'm hitting the putt and where I want them to hit the putt. So I'm giving them the point and the distance I want to hit the putt. Because at that point, they know how I'm intending to hit it. Instead of saying, all right, hit it on the right edge and hit it with speed. That doesn't mean anything to anybody if you're not me. So if I tell you it's a 2-foot putt, hit it one ball out right here and point to the point I want you to hit it, now I've given you some information you might be able to work with. So in team competitions, working with caddie, that type of stuff, really important to be on the same page about those things. And Brian's graphic did a great service of giving us a jumping off point to talk about that. So how do you think about these terms? Curious what you think, how you feel about them, and how you think about putting, because it's an art in many ways. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Consider subscribing to the channel, and I'll see you next time.